Hi everyone, so in this video I'll go over this trade that I took yesterday. So right now I'm on an Alpha Futures Zero account, so I'm just taking that on this account at the moment. So on the daily we can see that we have this turtle soup right here. So we swept this liquidity and then we started going back inside the range. But what was not really convincing was that we did end up closing above this bearish fair value gap. So there is a little bit of conflict in terms of like bullish or bearish bias. So that's mainly what I see on the daily time frame. But overall, I was leaning a bit more towards bearish because of all of these low resistance liquidity right here. So moving down to the H4, we can see that after taking out this high, what happened was we ended up going straight back into the range. So we pretty much rejected that high. So we have a H4 inverse fair value gap, and we also have a H4 bearish fair value gap. There is also a change in the state in the H4 as well. So that's when I started becoming more bearish just based on the H4. Going down to the H1. So with that being swept, my next draw on liquidity is pretty much just like any immediate low. So you can see right here, this is Asian session lows. So this itself is not in Asian session, but it's quite close. It's pretty much like relative equal lows. You can see these two lows. So this was my main target, and you can also see previous day low was like the main draw liquidity after taking out that high. So going into open, we were already down here. I actually wasn't really that heavily bearish biased even then. To be honest, yesterday I didn't really feel like taking a trade because after seeing price action, I feel like it wasn't that bearish, but it also wasn't that bullish. Because you can see on the H4, there is this change in the state. But on the H1, it is still part of a bullish range. So yeah, it can easily just be like a retracement into this range and then just continue going upwards. So that's why I didn't want to be too married to my bias. So I didn't really feel like I needed to take a trade. But I just continued looking. So on the H1, you can see that we retrace into this range. And again, like this is sort of like, there's like nothing going on here. It's like up and down and up and down. So there's not really any strong ranges. So again, I just didn't want to be too married to the bias. And for this particular trade, I wanted everything to line up. So we have this new week opening gap right here that price tapped into at open. So 9:30 open, we went up and tapped into that new week opening gap. We also had this inverse fair value gap, but again, this ended up being a bullish candle anyway, so I didn't really pay too much attention to this price action over here. I didn't really care too much about any of the fair value gaps here. My main high time frame PD array that I worked off of was just this new week opening gap. So on the H1, that's pretty much all that I see. It's just that gap. 30-minute as well. We have this 30-minute bearish fair value gap, but you can see also that we closed above it. So that's why I wasn't really too focused on any of the price action over here, because it doesn't really matter because all the PD arrays are not really getting respected. So I saw that it went into that new week opening gap, and we also created an SMT with ES. So after that, it sort of became more apparent that we kind of want to go below. We have this sweep of liquidity, we went down, we retraced. And what's even better is that actually this move up into the new week opening gap was also at OTE. You can see right here, it didn't actually tap that line, but it's pretty much there. So we retraced into OTE of this range, and then started going down. So again, like I said, I wasn't very convinced because of all of this price action here. It wasn't that great. So I wanted to wait for another confirmation, which was on the 15-minute. Usually when there's not really any main price action here on the H1, I'll just wait for a 15-minute confirmation. So on the 15-minute, we got this 15-minute change in the state right here. So after this 15-minute candle closed, 9:45 onwards, that's when I started looking for entries. You can see we also created a 5-minute fair value gap right here. So usually when there's something like that, I'll wait for price to go into that 5-minute fair value gap. But my entry is off of a 1 minute because after a 15-minute change in the state, I just want to look for a 1 minute. So we have this SMT right here that got put in, and we also have this H1 inverse fair value gap. So I waited for price to close below, and you can see that we failed to close below multiple times. There's like 3 candles right here where we failed to close below this 1 minute inverse fair value gap, and that's why initially I actually just wanted to like log off because it just wasn't really showing the best price action. But then with this candle right here, it closed bearish, so we ended up having pretty much like a change in the state because it closed below these 2 upwards candles, and it also closed below this inverse. So we got a 1 minute inverse fair value gap and a 1 minute change in the state all in one. So I entered off this candle and stopped just at that high, and I just targeted these Asian session lows right there. And you can see it's a pretty long trade, over an hour, but that's how I got this trade. You can see from the shorts as well. I posted a short that ES actually had the same move, but it was a lot cleaner on ES. You can see right here, it pretty much went down in a straight line. But I don't trade ES, so that's why I just got it on NQ. But pretty much that's all there is to this trade. It's a pretty, I would say it's an A trade because all of the things lined up. I saw exactly what I wanted to see, and I wasn't rushing going into it. There was a lot of times before I entered the trade where I didn't even want to take a trade. I just took it because everything lined up and everything showed me that I should take a trade. So a lot of times this is also sort of the mindset that I want to go into trading from now on. And I find that usually when I take better trades, when I take winning trades, it's usually with the mindset of I don't really want to take a trade, and I just wait for price to show me and wait for the market to convince me to take a trade. So that's the mindset going into this. And you can also see from the short that I was actually pretty frustrated during this trade because it just seemed like it was chopping around. You can see right here that there's so much low resistance liquidity right here, but it took so long. And so especially when it takes so long and then you see ES go down, it can be frustrating. But the only thing that was going through my mind was, how do I stick to my rules? So according to my rules, the only thing that I needed to do was just wait for ES to take out this low. If ES takes out this low first, then I'll just move my stops to break even. That is the only thing that is in my rules after taking a trade. I don't take profits early. I don't, especially if this is a 1.6 hour trade, I don't have any, there's not really much point in taking partials. And there's also not any significant lows right here for me to take partials off of. So there's no partials. All I needed to do was just wait for ES to take out this low and set break even. That was my only rule that I needed to follow, and I followed that as well. So after ES took out the low, it was already way after this. So in fact, I can even check. When ES took out the low, it was 1033. 1033 it was here. So at this point, I moved my stops to break even, and you can see it sort of got close, but it didn't end up getting me out, so it's fine. But that's all for today, and just remember to always stick to your rules. Always follow your plan before going into the trade and even during the trade as well. That is how you win on days like this. Some people might argue that it's a good price action day, but for me, it wasn't really that great. I think it was an okay day. But execution-wise, I'm pretty happy with how I executed and how I stuck to my rules. Overall, I was up $590 for this trade, and this is where my account balance is up right now. So it's still a challenge account, but yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.